Hello and good evening, everybody. Welcome to another day of Odin's Day. Where we're doing a stream on our Lord Odin's wonderful day, known as Wednesday to most people in the English world. So I'm going to wait until a few people get started. I'm just going to post the links for this stream in the familiar places. Let's put them here. Okie dokes. Let's do it. Oops, Daisy, you just saw nothing. Right. Okay. I'll just wait a minute. While people come, I can have a glass of water. Hello, 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 hello. Hee. Right. I'm just going to start just testing things, see if actually things work. Yeah, that took a long while to compile. It shouldn't take that long. What's going wrong? That was weird. Yeah, it goes close enough. Except for the proc bit. But yeah, could always make it funk. But I like proc. It's better. Cleaner. Nicer. So, I have a general idea of what I want from this language now, by the way. And I know what this language looks like. Yeah, that looks lovely. Yeah. Okay, so we are continuing with the Midgard compiler, the realm that we all live on, of course, Midgard. And for the people who do not know what the Midgard compiler I'm working on is I made a little language called Midgard, very little, which should have a pretty much a very decent mapping towards WASM. So it'll have a few extra features here and there, but in general it'll be pretty much what WASM can do as a language. So WASM, for people who don't know, is the web assembly, which is the new kind of specification. It's like a language, and web browsers have their own virtual machine that can run it. So I thought, why not? Can we just make a language that's directly designed for it, that is also not like a very high level language, but one that's kind of like very similar mapping to what C was. I'm adding a few extra features in for this, so like one or two extra things will be in it, which are not like direct mappings, of course. For instance, not yet, but I will probably support like multiple return values. I will also probably have, I'll support multiple return values, but in a limited fashion. I'll support stuff like switch statements, stuff like certain things here and there are very nice. I've learned from other languages and stuff and keeping it there. I'm keeping the syntax very, very simple, so it's very fast to parse, very simple, but also try to make it very different from Odin. So I wasn't trying to copy Odin and get the same conclusion as Odin, but try and get there for the most part. I can also do something else on tonight's stream if you would like. I honestly could consider doing something completely different if people are interested. So for instance, I could literally talk about anything you'd like, not just compilers. We could talk about mathematics if you want and teach you some maths, like whatever you want to talk about. We could talk about physics, we could talk about any old crap, to be honest with you. We could do science fiction if you wanted, or, I don't know, history. Yes, I know, so I'm doing very Pascal-like declarations, I know, or Go-like, or whatever I'm going to call them. No maths. No math. Math's alright. It's good if you can learn stuff. So one thing I just remembered is I still haven't added one extra type of declaration to here, and it'd be an export declaration. Very simple. an export declaration will export something or a block of things, and that's about it. Now the question is, when I'm exporting something, do I want to be able to do, okay, here's like the foreign things, yeah? Should I be able to do export and just do singular, or should I allow for multiple and then everything in there is exported? Now, thinking about it, yeah, I probably should. Praise Odin. Praise Odin. Yes. Hello. Welcome to the stream. Praise Odin. We are all here pagans for some reason, but I'm not actually a pagan. But shh, go slow enough. Shh. Yeah. So I'm thinking now for the type declarations, we could have an AST spec. But the problem with an AST spec here is it would use the same. Ah, screw it. We can do this. Yeah, we could do this. So we have a different spec here. And this would just be a decal spec. Keeping it simple, nothing fancy. A decal spec is going to be the same as like here. Decal spec. Decal. AST decal. Pretty damn simple that was. So now we've got a decal spec. We can now pass it. So pass type. So type spec. We can now add a. It's not really an it's more of an export spec actually, not a decal spec. What we're talking about. An export spec. And we have a keyword. We don't really care about any of that. Do we care about the index? Like, why do I have index in that parameter? Do I ever actually use it? No, I don't. Like, I don't actually require it, do I? It's gonna all crash at me anyway, but whoops daisy. Yeah, ignore it. I'm not flipping done it yet. So let's get rid of the export spec. And it's going to crash it. We're not crashing, we go. Yeah, I had an extra thought when I was writing that, and I realised I don't need it for the syntax. So yeah, value spec. Do we need the index in the back? No, we don't. Nope. We can get rid of that. And we can get rid of that. Okay, that's all ready. So export spec already. So for the export spec, we need to do parse a decal. Pretty much simple. So this will be export spec here. It just means I'm ignoring that parameter. I don't need it. That's all that means. Underscore bulb thing means. I don't need to pass it along. It's still the same as signature type. It's just got not passing the name. That is literally about it. Decal. And then why not? Seems clear enough to me. Pass decal. And what I'll do here is decal. And when we pass the decal spec end decal end decal expect semicolon, we don't need to because the declaration itself will check for it, shouldn't it? Technically. So that should be okay. So if we then look for a case of export, f equals export spec, that's fine. We can then check for different errors on here. So we now have got a declaration in our decal. We can check for the different decal kinds. So decal variant. And it was going to tell us which declarations. Ah, I need the sync kind, don't I? So sync. What type of sync do I need? I need a decal start map, to be honest with you. That's what I want. That's just to make things simpler. Pass it by pointer. So here's the ones I haven't handled. I'm going to have to put them all in. So case, I'm going to ignore that one. that's going to be fine. And we're going to error on that. So parser error, decal position, parser, foreign declaration, nested within, unexpected foreign declaration in export declaration. We need to check to see if the procal declaration doesn't, if it equals or has a body. No, that's fine. Okay. And we're going to put okay in there as well, except switch G in D dot gen decal token is what I want. Making noises here. So when we have the generic declarations, we have got what generic declarations have we got here? We have const type import R, and now we've also got export. That one's going to be okay, and the rest are not. So what I'm going to do here, unexpected in export. And then the actual declaration type we want here is d.talk.text. That's going to be partial. And we don't want the rest of them to be like that. That seems relatively okay to me. Whoops, forgot that. Yeah, forgot the colons there. It says variant type. Ooh. Yeah, because I didn't actually add it. Now it's going to complain I actually haven't handled it here. Whoops, daisy. So, we now got the export specs in here. Export spec to do. Same again, and we're not allowing export specs within a procedure. Export declarations are not allowed within a procedure. Ignore. There we go. That was quite easy to add. So we've now got a very nice generic declaration, lovely little syntax. Everything's quite, again, generic as I keep saying. So now, let's start working on some other cool stuff. So we can keep working on this language, of course, or we can do something else if people are interested, of course. Anything else that you prefer? Sorry, I missed a question there. So it says, why is it do magic? Let's do magic with a capital K Oh yeah, you heard me. Magic with a capital K. Right. So what I was doing was trying to get some basic declarations and other expressions working in this language at the moment and get some general things working. So one of the things I have been trying, like this foreign thing here, it should work. So, like this is doing some silly stuff. So, what we could do is actually just keep this very, very simple. And then start actually generating some backend code already. Again, I've not really worked on this language much, but we've got the front end. We're going to work on the back end now. The assembler we've got, so we need a back end, which I want to keep separate from everything here. So we're going to have a new file. Let's just call it backend.odin. I really can't think of a backend name at the moment. So let's go to the main file. We can see all this here. Whoops. Backend. And then what we need to do is, if everything is hunky-dory, we should just generate it. Generate WASM. And what we need to set into our is the checker. And we also want the assembler. Almost. Well, let's just put AS and FE. Let's do that. Fee and FET and AS. Am I really? No, I'm not using the WASM interpreter to run on the WASM command on the command line. I'm literally just going to use a web browser. That is literally what I'm doing. What is the point of doing that? Because I want to change it later, and I know it shouldn't be called front end. I'm just putting a name. That's all. There we go. Okay, so from the back end, we're going to do is generate WASM, and then we're going to pass in that checker. Yeah. Oops, let's make that lowercase. Let's do a import core funct. Let's put my lovely always here check like so. So this is kind of what's going on, and my idea is with the kind of assembler we had originally here, you can see what goes on. We need to create an assembler and literally create one. So that is pretty simple. With the assembler, assembler let's call that WASM, not just assembler, make it easier. So assembler, that's now WASM, and we take that to be that. We can then do different points in here, so we can go through all of the different things, and we can then start associating them with different things. So this is going to be the generation table. I need a better name for it. So the problem is, this is hard to do. Alright, I'm trying to think, should I keep them as separate as I want? Because technically the front end doesn't need to be as What's the best way of putting it? Sectioned off. Because it's very, very useful to store information on the AST, and this language is designed for this, and it's not going to be anything else. And I'm trying to think here, is how would I design this? I'm trying to think, should I keep it as separate, like an old, like properly distinct, and each one has to call from each other? That means I can't store anything on the AST itself. But the thing is that you don't want to store anything in this AST because you need lookup tables everywhere. So let's just have global variables for the time being, okay? And let's think about how this is going to be generated. I'm going to generate the WASM as well. So we have an assembler, and you can add globals, you can all this do things here, and you can write the assembly. And I've got, how would I generate assembly? In the WASM, isn't it? WASM generate assembly, done, and it's emitting the headers. I know I will need to add the function table stuff because I need to do indirect functions all the time, like a lot. They're the only way you can do them properly, because it's one of the worst parts of WASM. It's poorly designed in that regard. So now we've got generate the tape as WASM. We need to write this entirely to file. Let's call this. Yeah, let's just call it backend. Let's just call this backend. Assembler. Like so. Oops, a daisy. Backend. Assembler. Let's just do that. And go back to the main. And then I'm just going to do backend like that. Pass that in like that. And then we can write the entire thing to a file. Yes. Oh, it's not backend. It's not it's BE. Now, the only issue that I have is that, yes, I wanted to multi-thread the entire backend for code generation, but the problem with, oops, a daisy. The problem with all this is it goes on. So the question is, what was the reason before for import front end is the question. So the reason why I did that is because I did. There's actually no like technical reason. That'll work. I just did. That's absolutely fine. So people are listening. Yes, there's a new channel on the Odin Discord, by the way, which is now called Stream Chat. So you can now see all the wonderful things for that. So now I've got the generate assembly. And then for this code here is just the generate it to file. And it is being generated to file every single time now. Which is, it's for some reason quite slow. Well, it's building it and going slow. It's building and running it. So if I just go to build.bat, and if I just ran the Midgard, look at it. It has literally passed that entire file, and it's not even done it in a second. That's what's so cool about that, actually. That's pretty damn fast. And I'm actually not even using the LLVM backend. What the heck? Okay, it's going quicker now. Okay, dokes. So now we've got the assembler going on, and then we generate the backend. We now need to figure out how we're going to assemble things together. If that makes any sense. So how we got through here, we need to go through all the different type of declarations that are defined. And if you look at how the front end works, and that's in Checker, we have a bunch of different packages and files and scopes and all that lot. So we have global variables, which we can create. No problem there. And global variables, effectively the design I'm going to go for is I'm going to go for a kind of a basic approach, like we're just going to have a big global memory of memory, just one. And then you're going to have some offsets for different things, and then you're going to just read from them. So it'll make sense when I do it, trust me. Hopefully this makes sense. I hope. We don't want to go into checker constants, we're just going to go to checker. So for package, in checker.packages, we have now got each package. So then we can go for each file in package.files. Simple enough. One thing we could do is this entities here are all the global entities. These are not I think they're all the global entities actually. Yeah, they're all the global entities, which is actually what I need, I think. Yeah, I think that's actually all I need. Let's just print out that and see what names we get up on the global entities. That was easy enough. I was, again, past bill was very nice. Let's put it that way. Look at the entities and we can look at the different entity times. So switch entity E and E dot variant, and then we have all of the different variants, and it's going to be like, hey, you didn't handle all of these different variants, which you can't see. Handle them now, please. And then I will. So, what I'll do is we're going to put this onto ignore. I'm just going to do this for the time being. So we don't need the type names or the constants, but the things that we do need, so we can put them into the ignore list, along with built-in and nil. We don't want to ignore them. Yeah? Like so. So the question is, I do not like the idea of having a mandatory import name, and it's just because I don't like it aesthetically. I know that sounds like a very weird reason, but I don't. What's gone wrong here? That is front end stuff, isn't it? Which is fine. Let's call it MG actually, not front end, because it's for Midgard. No, let's just call it FE. Flip it, whatever. Let's ignore that. So we now have varb print whatever. Great. So we now need to think about how we're going to do stuff. So what I want to do is we now need to have an entity, and we need to associate that entity with if it had a declaration of sorts. So we want this mapper here, of course, and then we need to give it some information about the kind of declaration we have. So what I mean by that is if we go to the assembler, I should just go to main here and look how I wrote it and how it maps. We can add an import function, and these import functions are very simple at the end of the day. So we can just go import function, get past the assembler. And for this, if e dot foreign library doesn't equal blank, then we know it's a foreign code. And then we can say foreign library is that, e dot name is that, and then we need to give it a signature. So the problem is we need to go from a signature. We need to go from a type to a signature. Signature. Like so, and we're now just going to for the time being, not even worry. Import function is WASM, and then signature it has no idea. So, oh, bless me. We want to probably minimize them as well, but we're going to be lazy for the time being. I'm going to put sig in there. It's going to be a pointer to the signature type, and then we're going to return the WASM signature, and that's going to be some WASM signature. So simple enough. It's a very simple map, and I'm just going to write nil for the time being. Yep. It's going to crash probably. Yeah, it crashes. It's exactly what I expect. So the question is, how do you implement a type system in a compiler? So at the end, it's very simple actually. At the end of the day, you don't really need to do much. So you kind of just keep it thinking it clear. So I'm just trying to go through here. So I know this is going to crash out. And we have now got a signature here, and we need to convert the value parameters to the result. And that's the idea behind it, at least. So what I'm going to be doing, this is doing a very lazy, it's checking to see you need a hash map pen. It's not multi-threaded whatsoever yet. WASM signature, pass in the assembler. If not the backend, technically. Let's put the backend in, actually. Oops. B for assembler nil. Let's make it blank. Just pretend it's blank for the time being. And then we've got many other things here which are not blank. Like so. I'm just trying to think about ways of doing this. Oh, this is fun. Probably not the best mood to be doing it right now, to be honest with you. I'm just trying to think through. Sorry, I'm just probably not the right way of doing this. Right, more chats everywhere. So there is a variable, we can ignore that for the time being. If I can make a thing WASM, which then can do a proc, and it can call that proc, that's a lot of work already done, to be honest with you, and I'll be really happy with that. Yeah, so the problem is we need to get an entity, and then from that entity, we then need to call this thing, and I'll have to admit, expression. So we need to pass a expression statement, and then what I need to do is emit a drop statement if that thing doesn't ever actually get used. Yeah, that makes sense, I hope. Let's just do this for the time being. Oops, sorry, S. And then we could do the same thing here. Switch E in expression. There's a hell of a lot there actually, which is quite a lot actually. A lot of them we can actually ignore. So there we go. So we want to have a create procedure. E for entity, and then that's about it, to be honest with you. Not even that. Let's just cheat. Let's just cheat. Let's look through and look what we have. We have a body in our procedure. So if we do this, we have the decal info. Which if we do that, it will print out all of our crap. And it has loads of it in there. So then we have a decal info, and then we have a proc decal, which has got a lot in it, which we don't really need. And we also have a body in there. And then we can do other things. Ooh. Yeah, let's do that. And then we can create a procedure here, can't we? For each of it. So when we're creating the procedures, yeah, that's the thing we can multi-thread, can't we? The way you multi-thread it is that you create them, you can add them to a queue. I'm leaning back and talking. Is that you create them, add them to a queue, and your workers can do all the stuff. Yeah, I'm trying to multi-thread the flipping heck out of this compiler because the way I've designed it is it should be completely multi-threadable. There shouldn't be any need to do anything crazy in it. I'm trying to keep the language very, very, very simple. To the point where it's probably a little bit too simple, but well, it's fun. Right. Probably not as good as last week's stream, was it? This isn't. We'll probably need to add a memory, of course. WASM. Yeah, let's add a memory. For the time being, we can add some globals here for different things. So yeah, there were registers I'm thinking about adding, which is kind of a bit funny to say the least. WASM. And then we can create some functions here, can't we? So we're going to cheat still and do the clever thing, to be honest with you. Create this. We know what the name of it is because they're all got the same name. They've all got no parameters. And we're not going to let's export them for the time being. And we've created this thing here. And I think we don't need to do anything yet for when we create that function, because all it does is say, hey, here's the emitter for the function. And that's all it gives us, which is not actually what we want. Is it? That's a good question. I'm just trying to think. I'm trying to think how to do this, and because there's multiple different ways of doing this, and I didn't actually think about how to do this before I came in. I thought, I'll just do it. I haven't touched this in a while. Should be fine. Yeah, should be fine. So trying to think this through, because the way I would normally do it with the IR generation in Odin is that I delay things all the time. So I collect all the entities again. So you do a 2-pass thing, and then you create their bodies later, because you want to be able to refer to things when they've been declared. Because if they've not been declared yet, you don't actually know how to use them. Yeah, that makes more sense. So, yeah, we need to... procedures. Procedure? Is it a pointer? Is it a better idea, or is it not? Whatever. Struct. We've got an entity here. In many cases, let's just do a entity. Let's just do a map for the time being. It doesn't make a difference. But let's just say that. No, let's not do the. Right, I'm going to actually just open up Odin and explain how I actually do things, because I know. Let's just make sure. Let's just do this. Let's go to Odin, open up Odin, and I'll explain what I mean by what I've been doing things by. So in LLVM backend, I have different things. So I have generally a value type. So this is the expression of sorts, and the type associated with it. I've got address things, which are special things. These are kind of special. And then I've got the module itself. That's a word, not backend. Module. Much better name. Why did I not think of that? Because I'm silly and don't think of good words. Yeah. Whoops-a-daisy. Yeah, let's ignore all that crap that I just added, because it's not even needed yet. So now it's printing all that crap, which we don't need. So the idea I have here is that, yeah, we can have the different modules and have the different types. We can have the types that point to their different corresponding things, which we don't need in that yet, because they should be one-to-one. It's not a problem. So, how am I going to design this? I'm trying to think about how to do this correctly. So we have the procedures, which is what this procedure here is, and we can see how I've defined it here. We can have parent in there. That's a good idea. Entity. They can even take into account children, because you can actually add children, and then you have to check them later, because you have to check them in the thingamabobs, don't you? So that's actually not a bad idea as well. Children. And technically they could just be near an end. They don't have to be a dynamic array, but it helps. Just put the module in for the time being. Name, which is a string. Let's put sig. And let's do that to be the front end signature. And then we have the ABI sig, which is the WASM signature. Now they're different. Yeah? I'm going to have to define my own ABI, by the way, because there isn't really one at all. It's not defined. There is the proc decal. But the thing is, it's not always technically a proc decal you need. You just need a body, don't you? So yeah, let's actually just do body. AST block statement. Anything else in there? So we have values as well, which you'll point to, and that's not a bad idea to have either. Let's just have a value type. Now, the problem with having the value type is there are different values. So we need the index, which is just U32, and then we have a value kind, and then this will map to every other value. Yeah? So we're going to first, let's call this invalid. And then what I'm going to do is get the WASM specification up, because then it will tell us every single value kind that we can have. Yeah, keeping this simple. Or I can look at the assembler, and it should tell me, yeah, there's different section types. Yeah, so let's just keep it simple again. So we got value. We have function, which I'm just going to call procedure because it's not a function. We have a table index, which is, let's leave that blank. Memory, leave that blank. Yeah, let's say global. That's about it, to be honest with you. And there's data technically, but no global. Local. I'm trying to think how to phrase this, and I'm thinking about 10 steps ahead, and I shouldn't be doing this. I should just try and solve the problem that I have, and that is literally just call that proc within the call and nothing else. Right, they can all be deleted. Like, all this needs to do is call this statement. That's it. So we need to create some procedures, and we add them to the list of the procedures here. Yeah. And then we've got all this, so we don't need to really worry about any of that crap. We do need to create a signature from the ABI, don't we? Yeah, this is only procedures to check. These are not actually... No, they are. They are like that, actually. We can give it an index. That would make sense. Okay, so we've got an index for a procedure. And then... Is there anything else I need in there? Not for the time being. No. So we can say create procedure. And we can give it different things here. For instance, export bool, foreign library, string. They're technically whatever to make a difference actually. Keeping it simple. If we have the foreign library in the export for the string, that's fine. We can create a procedure here. M is for the module. E is for the entity. Body. We can add that in there. And then procedure, like so. I'm then going to say new procedure, keeping it simple. And we can add all the different things. So the index is going to be the len of all the procedures in there. Cast it to U32, of course. The entity is going to be the entity. The module is going to be the module. We can then append that there. The name is going to be the name. Signature, so signature in this case is going to be type variant signature. The ABI signature, on the other hand, let's call this ABI signature. Actually, not even bother with the p.sig and the module. Like, there's a signature in that module WASM thing, which I should probably convert into this code side, but it's just, I don't worry about it yet. T.body, it's going to be the body. P.foreign library is going to be what if there's a foreign library on the entity, and then export. So if I now check on the entity, it should have an exported flag. So flags dot exported in flags. That's great. We have an index, and then the index is technically in the assembler, isn't it? So when we create it, we can check like so. Maybe so we go to this here. We can then create a function. But the problem is you don't create a function, you need to add an import function depending on if it's been imported or not. That's the correct way of thinking about it. So WASM, so if it doesn't equal blank, then we do this code. Like so. E.name, yeah, same as p.name in this case. p p.abi signature, yeah. Dot assembler, like so. And that'll give me the assembler index, which is actually the it's going to give me the index of the imports. But no, it's going to give me the index of actually also the procedures, because that's the one I want, not the import index. That's correct. Now it's same with this. So p.name, p.abi signature, and then the kind. That's where we look at the function. And then I got location kind. It's an import, internal, or export. Oops. I don't need to put braces around it, I just needed to do that. Not ABI signature, just ABI sig is the best way of calling it. Create, that's WASM. A is for assembler. Not for Apple, as most people get taught. A is not for Apple. And then it's doing it, okay. We can then clean up this code. Create procedure, we can put the model in there, E in there, and then E.body. AST block statement. That's fine. It should always have declaration, but that's not the point. Just doubly checking. And let's add the body in. So now we've pretty much created every single thing there. That's okay. So now we can go through each thing. So procedure in the module, which is just M, and then we can go for procedures. Just to prove it, we can e.name it. P.name it. Perfect. If P. Emitter equals nil, can say continue, and I'm just going to put P. Emitter there. Okay. So now we've got the emitter, we can then actually start doing all of this. So on these like emit statements, we don't actually want to set the module, we actually want to set the procedure. And I'm just going to put these at the beginning because it makes it a bit cleaner. And what we can then do we can then emit statements. And what we can do here, which is pretty damn cool, is once we've emitted a statement, we can then just do stuff. So what we can do here is p.emitter it's writing it, doesn't mean it's going to work, by the way. So then what we need to do through the statement here is we need to go through each block statement, like so. And then for each ns in s.statements, emit statement again. That was simple enough. And then the last thing we got here is the call expression. So I know I'm doing a call expression. So to prove that, I'm going to express that. And we've got it. So what we need to do is we need to express the identifier. So when you're doing the code, you're omitting it kind of a little bit backwards. It's a way of looking at it. So if I get the WASM spec up again, which I just got rid of, this is not the right WASM spec. It is the one on GitHub that's actually a little bit easier to read. We look at the instructions and then we look at call. Again, this is one of the only bad bits about WASM. I don't think there should have been a call or call indirect. There just should have been a call index. And then you pass the index and it would call the index and then it would have been it. I think the way they've done it is absolutely dreadful, to be honest with you. But it's the only bad bit I've seen. So I can complain as much as I like, but it is still stupid. Okay. So when you have a call instruction, it's got many different things in front of it, but at the moment we have the function index. Okay. Yep, that's absolutely fine what I've just done here. So then when we get to the call things, we need to do the arguments. Now, I know there's no arguments in this call, by the way, so that's why I'm going to be cheating. I want to have, let's call this the expression. And what I'm just going to do is emit expression. And then when we've got the expression, that's going to be a value, isn't it? Which we kind of need to take into account. Which we'll do here for the time being. And then it will be a union, is the best way of putting it. What? I'm trying to think of the best way of putting it. So the value is going to have a type in it, so we could just say it's a procedure for the time being. Does make a difference. And then once we've done the procedure thing here, we need to take it as just go, okay, index. Do that, and then emit call. What was it doing? Is it one of them is in assembler, isn't it? Emit call, and we have to put the function index in there, don't we? So WASM, and it's the emitter, and then the function index. And then we've got return. I'm going to put return nil in here. But for this here, we're then going to look up the entity, which we know is going to be that value, of course. Yeah, that makes sense. But technically, no, I'm thinking actually. Actually, that's not a bad idea, what I've just thought about. Let's just put it there. Found value maps. We now have got the entity here, and then what we want is the entity of that expression. I'm going to assert that it's been found and then return the value. We have a runtime assertion here. Interesting. Yeah, so it's not actually been set up correctly. So it looks like it's not being added. So when we actually check the expression, actually no, I think it's in type expression, and then we check the entity here. I don't think I'm actually assigning the found entity to the identifier. And the answer is no, I'm not. I am now. And then it's done it. So now we have probably got more than enough, by the way, I'm not even joking, that this may be workable. So we can now go to the main code. We've got all this crap here that we don't actually need. So we haven't got it called a platform. What did we call it? We called it env, and we called it print. Say function doesn't do anything, except now we're going to just do console log hello. This is the only thing we've got in this damn thing. the only imports we want, and that's it. Now I'm just going to open my web browser and load that test file, which it does look like it's actually setting it up correctly. And there's not much data in there, which is a good sign, by the way. Let's look and open this in a browser. Yeah, let's say default. Like it's like I there shouldn't be a canvas anymore. Actually, by the way, like I should have just got rid of that canvas. And view the source. No, I want to inspect. It's going to have a bug. Compiling it, invalid local type. Yeah, and I know why there is an invalid local type. It's actually quite obvious. It's because, for me at least, because I know how this works. Who would have guessed? When I'm creating this procedure, I'm not actually omitting the amount of locals the thing has. Like, it should just say 0. So if I now keep this sane, module is not an object or a function. Module foreign. Interesting. What I want is a WASM decompiler. Disassembler, whatever. Like an online one. I can't remember where one would be. If anyone's got any ideas. WASM to WAT. Is there an online WASM to WAT anywhere? Because I've got a WASM file here. Is this what I want? Maybe. I should say create. Like, yeah, I want to convert it to something else. I don't. Is there a file place? I can't remember. I don't want to just write one. It's not worth it my time at the moment. WASM to WAT, and I want it just to be online. That goes usually good, but I'm just going to go on to Google for the time being because it's slightly better usually. Ever so slightly. No. I want an online disassembler. Wrong one. Anyone in the audience? Anybody know? Anybody know? Yes, no, maybe? You don't know? Can you repeat the question? This is annoying. Like, I don't think there's anything wrong with my actual assembler. I think I've just generated the code wrong, which is actually just probably more likely. If I've just generated the code wrong, like for instance, if I go close all this crap, go back to the main file. What did I do differently on here? Yeah, we generate the assembly, and we generate the assembly there. I output the stuff fine. I think, actually that might be the case. I need to add it after I've added, it might be in the wrong order. I don't think it is, but for some reason that makes sense. I don't think it should make a difference which order you do it in, to be honest with you, but that's just me. Oh, I know what I've done wrong. I'm trying to call main and the other main doesn't exist. And I've not been exporting it. And the function that I have in my test.midgard is called thing, not main. So that's one bug. That was the first bug to fix, of course. This bug, of course... Let's get rid of that. Okay, that runs and it prints hello. That's fine, but that's using the newer correct. Let's get to the old one. And it's failing. It says module equals foreign. This is where, yeah, I need to decode WASM. Godbolt? Does Godbolt do it? Yeah, but I don't want to go from WAT to WASM. I want to go from WASM to WAT. So WAT to WASM is what I want. And I know there's one online. Oh no, I found it. What the hell? Well, that didn't take long. It's probably going to tell me it's wrong. I know it's got a binary format. Can I? That's WAT to WASM. Yeah, I want WASM to WAT. Is there an online WASM to WAT anywhere? Not a command line one. I don't want a command line one, which is on Linux only. I don't know why I'm doing that. It's already on Google. I swear. Anybody got a WASM to WAT? Yeah, it's got the word foreign in there. Interesting. Why has it got the word foreign? Actually, that is really surprising. Like, thinking about it, that's actually really weird. Like, I think, like, the foreign... Yeah, it's got the word foreign in it, and it shouldn't be foreign. Oh, you moron, Bill. I know what I've done wrong. Decal, collect, entities... Yeah, when I do a foreign declaration, I'm asking for toc.text, which is not one. I wanted lib. And now... Let's do that like that. What are you using WASM to WAP for? Well, I want a WASM to WAP for, so I can actually just test something, but I think I found out where the bug was, to be honest with you. I want to unquote a string, and it's not allowing me to unquote it correctly, and I thought I wrote this code and it should work. That's what... Okay, so if I go back into Odin, string unquote string. Maybe this unquote string thing doesn't work, by the way. Why not? Yeah, I don't think it works. I'm just going to do that for the time being. So it says export main is not a function. That is... exports.main is not a function. Is it not? I thought it was when I created it. Like when I'm creating this... it should say, okay. And then it should do that, and it tells me the end of it. So is that making sense? Does that make sense? So why is it, what am I omitting that's wrong is what I'm trying to think. Because it should be zero locals, you just call the zero call, and then you do the that should work, and then you end it. Now it says cause an exception, window.wasm / exports, and now it only has those in the exports. The rest aren't exported, which is interesting to say the least, which is actually quite interesting. And we can look at what the imports are. Oops, can't even spell it. It's undefined. But the exports, yeah, they're well defined. And what's in the WASM exports, there's some other stuff in here, yeah. Constructor, yeah, whatever. So interestingly, I don't think it ever actually gets, so if I create procedure, let's just say if it's blank, then because I don't think I actually explicitly state it to be exported. So now it's working. Okay, that makes more sense. Let's do that. And guys, it works. It's calling it. What? Right, just to prove it, we can go to this code here. Let's set syntax about go, it's close enough. To prove it is working, let's put it as the second input, so index 1. And it's going to tell me imports must come before Okay. That's fine, because on our back end, we just need to do a double pass. That's all we need to do. We do 2 pass. Yep. That's wonderful. Isn't that actually wonderful? We've got a hello in there and it's now working and it's actually calling it and going through the actual assembler and compiling it correctly. So that is actually pretty damn cool. We can call that print a few times now, like 4 times, and she print it 4 times. Can you see how cool this is already getting? We've got a basic assembler. Oh, it's already coming to basic backend, going slowly as hell. The problem I have here is I need to the way I'm thinking about it is good question. I'm trying to think this way through. I can't have it too generic, and it can't just be a random pointer. You need to know what it's actually doing when you're doing the things. So you need to have the values, and you need to store them correctly. And you have to be it'll be in a union. There'll all be pointers anyway, so it won't be too much of space. So that's correct. I want to see now if I can have a single call. Do I actually check the arguments? I don't think I actually check arguments yet. Let's just say I don't do it yet. So let's just say that's okay. Let's add another function in here. Let's call this print2. Oh, so original, those names. Print2. Goodbye. And it says hello, goodbye, goodbye, hello. That's fine. So you can see how this is working. So So that should be absolutely fine now. And that is, in my opinion, pretty damn good. Just doing some basic things. So for people who didn't follow along correctly, what I was doing here is that from after I've done the type checking, I go through each of the entities, these named declarations, and I'm collecting the foreign declarations first and creating those procedures. I'm then going through all the other entities again and collecting the non-foreign declarations, the ones with bodies, and checking them. I'm then going through the entire list of procedures because this list could actually grow, by the way, because it will need to be, I don't know, a queue, really like a thread-safe queue to do work. It just keeps adding work. It's like a channel in a sense, is what I'm thinking of, and then it does the work. So this is the one problem with this assembler, because when I'm generating code, I don't know necessarily if I need any locals and like any temporary registers inside. And the way I'm thinking about how I'm going to allocate this kind of thing is I'm going to use the globals, and I've got a global. What's the best way of putting it? I've got a global. I can't think of the word. Sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. I've got going to have a global registers, and I think the way I'm going to deal with it is I'm going to just have a load of global registers, which don't get exported, of course, but those global registers are specific to that thing. Does that make sense? Are people understanding what I mean by this? I hope is what I'm saying. Okay. So we're going through all this kind of nonsense. So we're going to go through here and then we do emitting and then we just set the locals. So I'm thinking I don't actually need any other user-defined locals, even if they're probably damn useful, especially if I need to use like swapping variables. I still want to use the normal stack, to be honest with you, because then I can just say how much I need. Like, I need more stack space. Oh, I'll redo it and then repatch it later. Like, it's not really a problem with wasting space per se, because you can always say this value here where we've put the value in and how much you need to put stack space. Yeah, we can fix that later, so don't worry. So it doesn't seem like much of an issue to me. Yeah, I think that's not a bad idea. Yeah, okay, so we still need to have to do a lot more in the actual type checker, by the way. So, for instance, in the moment, actually, no, I actually just go to call. It was in call. I got a new file for this. I don't actually check any of the arguments yet. Whoops. Which is actually fine. So we're going to just keep going through each of the arguments. So for arguments, e.args, it's going to be a check expression with hint. Did I call it hint or type hint? I think I called it with type hint. Yeah, I did. Let's call this y. Y. And then we've got the argument. And then we've got type hint. Yeah. Type hint. And in this case, the type hint is going to be nil. Otherwise, it's going to be whatever the argument type is. So if I is less than the length of the signature params, then the type hint equals that. Fine, I'm just going to... Oh no, I don't need to do that. I need to have tuple len, because it is a tuple len thing. We can do that. Then we can say a check assignment. Yeah, that's correct. The context is then in procedure call. Yeah, that's what I need it. So procedure in argument. Vars type. So my idea is it's going to accept one thing. Someone's asking, how much of this work is just secret preparations of the masturbatory fun of self-hosting? It's absolutely none. This is just having fun with WASM, to be honest with you. Because, hey, it's something that's the least worst about the web. Except the web is still crap. It's just this is probably making it tolerable, hopefully. Eventually, I'm just going to have... Literally, I'm just thinking of just going to WASM for Odin and just literally going the LLVM backend and doing WASM and be done. This is just a bit of fun. This is all it is. And people can look at the actual compiler and actually learn things. It's a lot simpler as well. Like the whole goal is to keep it like less than 10,000 lines. Or maybe go a bit more than that, fine, but keeping it small. For instance, we need to do... We need to do proper type checking there for the actual, like, oh, we're missing arguments and stuff. Fine. No, it'd be check error. Check error. And we need to say the error thing is if the parameters aren't the same. We want to say mismatched expected arguments to call got that many. So we expected that length, and then we got that many. So then what I'm going to do is that, and it should arg type. Oh, let's just call it arg type here. And then we want to use the arguments again for what is ever left. So what I'm doing here is use the remaining, if there are any remaining is what I'm trying to state. That should be okay. To prove that works, let's put that to the start. Let's put test. It should be saying, okay, expected 0 arguments to call. Got 1. I'm just going to do that for the time being, because I'm lazy. Yes, it's got to fail. This says it expected 1. That's fine. We're going to type in that. So the way I'm thinking about how I'm going to do the ABI is... How should I design this ABI is my question, because I'm thinking if it's an integer, you should just pass it as an integer regardless as a register, and then just cast it correctly. Like it'll be kind of like C-like in that regard, which I don't particularly like, but it'll work because it'll fit in a register. And if it's anything else, then we've just got to pass it as if it was a pointer. So that makes the most sense to me. Oops, there's no Index out of bounds. Oh, that's not good, because I didn't actually pass this correctly. It looks like I haven't passed procedure types correctly. Oh, well, I'll fix this. Because it says 0, which is not correct. We got a bad expression there for I-32. Am I not passing this correctly? Interestingly, I just haven't probably got a decent pass yet. Why is that? What's in the iris system like that? Yeah, it shouldn't actually ever get there, is what I'm trying to say. Is it should never actually get here. Like, if it's ever greater than 0. Or even not even that, just it's not equal to 0. Crash. Oh, whatever. I'm just thinking this through. I'm probably tired as well. I'm tired, hot, because it's been very warm. It's been 80 degrees Fahrenheit, or it was 26.7 degrees Celsius. It's been warm. Yeah, I don't actually use the mini-map at all. I usually just disable it. I don't know why I've got it enabled, to be honest with you. Maybe it just looks pretty, but I never use it. Yeah. It's there. I understand why people like it, because you can actually do some really cool stuff with it, but if I do use it, it's just in my the right-hand side of my corner. I don't really need it. It's not like I'm physically interacting with it. I'm just looking at it. So it's just something like subliminal or something like that. So I'm trying to think. I'm passing a procedure wrong. Like, this entire code is wrong. Yeah. So I'm just going to pass it. And it says it's wrong. Like, this should be perfectly correct. But it's not. So what am I doing wrong is my question. Let's just put loads of here's and just see what goes on. So we've got first here. P dot current token, and see what the current token is. Not very useful. It's an ident. And we got an I-32. So here we've got an I-32. So it's got a list. Yeah, I'm a moron. Look how much of a moron I am. Item. Yeah, that's just me being a moron. I think I got a typo there where I don't even do anything. Yep, that sounds like a lot like me, to be honest with you. Yeah, that's correct logic. I was like, my logic should be correct. I know I wrote this. I know it should be correct, is what I'm saying. Doesn't mean it is. Still getting a bad expression, apparently. And a runtime expression. So let's see what I'm doing. I'm trying to pass a thing into this list. If it's not a comma, break. If it is a comma, keep going until you hit a end. If I can try to pass a type, and I can get a type, great. That means, therefore, I've got a type list. Else, if it hasn't got a type list, then what I'm doing here is converting the list into a list of types and giving the name. There's no name to it, at least. So I could probably give it a blank name, but there's no name. Makes sense. But with this one, we're going to make an identifier list from all this thing here. And this is a bad expression. So like, bad expressions are usually because I haven't handled something correctly. Like, it's the nil case, nope. Or in this case, it's going to be the bad expression. It actually is the bad expression. Yeah, I think it just is the bad expression, isn't it, I'm thinking of. So, because it's done the bad expression, we want to check it correctly. I'm thinking, yeah. We've got all those different expressions, yeah, fine. We've got their expressions, whatever. We know they're expressions, but what type are they? They're all idents. Yeah, that's exactly what I expect. One's an ident, the other one's a pointer type. So it is actually parsing it correctly, at least. I don't know why I didn't test this correctly. I'm just today. Right, we're going through that list here. Then we're going through the make list thing here. So we've got list in general. And then we're going to just go through it all like so. Yeah? I wonder if this is the bad bit. I do actually wonder if this is the problem. So that one's fine. So it is actually hitting correctly. You know what? Sorry, I'm just going to stop that checker. But it's not failing. Interesting. But like, the code isn't failing to pass, but it's saying it's a bad expression. Am I not parsing it correctly? Is that what I'm doing wrong? That's what worries me. I'm hitting a nil expression. Where am I hitting the nil expression is what I want to know. Ooh. Oh, does it hit the nil expression if it does this? Yeah. So, I think I know what the problem is now. We want to check the proc type. And the proc type itself is probably correct. It is, probably. but it's probably wrong as well. So we have now got the proc type, and it's probably got some parameters in it. It's a field list. In the field list, I need to put some like non-serializing stuff on here because it's a pain in the arse to read. No, I don't want the node. I want fields. Is it list? I had it. It's under. Can't remember. It's under list. Now, both of those lists are blank, except for one of them, which isn't blank, which is exactly what I expect. It's got a field in there. So let's go to collect parameters. Oh, really? Oh, it's because I know what the bad error is now. It's because I am actually handling it correctly. It's just it is a bad expression, but I don't think I should have done this. I'm regretting this now, actually. Field list. Field. Yeah, and it's trying to pass a field. But if I do a field type, it says it might be blank. Like, yeah, there's the point. There's the problem. So the problem here is that the field type is blank. And that is a problem when we go to the parser. So the fields here... Yeah, I never set the type, do I? Shit. That's not a good sign, is it? Well, that was simple to fix. Wow. I wrote all the code, pretty much thinking, yeah, that's how it should work. And then I never actually even tested it. That's a top tip for everybody. Test your code. So now we have print2. And in this case, the print2 now takes an I32. Main print2 I, and then put the I in there. It's going to work. It's going to work. It's going to crash at me actually as soon as I tell it to generate the backend. Yeah, it says undefined because it's not been actually called correctly. So it's not failed. It's just not been type checked. Makes sense? So what we're then doing is we now need to go back to the backend. We now need to go find the call expression. Yeah. And like so. And then we need to do the arguments. So for arg in args emit expression, simple enough. And then what we need to do is we need to give it the type as a type hint. So we may need to do a type conversion on that expression. Which is fine. Yeah, that's fine. And then arg it. So now it's going to do something wrong, but we haven't got that basic literal yet. So if I put a panic here, it's going to panic. We want a basic literal, like so. And now it's going to tell me we need to handle all of those cases. And we need to do them correctly, of course. We know what the type of it is as well, don't we? So if we look at the assembler, it is a const thing. In this case, for a Boolean, we're just going to emit a const. An I32, because it is technically just an I32 for the constant emitter. Let's put v, the string, we're going to say to do string. We're going to do that as well. F64, let's just do that for the time being. WASM. So theoretically, that should have it failed. Found one. No, that's not a bug. That is not a bug. Because we need to create the ABI signature here, don't we? So what we need to do is we need to create... this is the signature. And we need the parameters. Which needs to be the value types, don't they? And result, which is going to be a WASM type as well. I'm going to delete that when I'm done, because if you notice here, I actually clone it and it's not actually a problem anymore. So it's technically correct. So then what we need to do is we go for param length equals tuple len, which is in the front end, and we want the sig.parameters for I in the parameter length. We then need to convert it. So for the time being, if there's anything here, we're going to just set it to be an I32. Like, which may... that will just need to be a value type .I32. And I'm just going to pretend for the main part that's how it works. Yeah? So I'm just going to say here, look. Here. Parameters signature, nothing else, void. Great. We're just cheating for the time being, getting things working, assuming everything is an I32, because that's not true, but it will work. So now, seriously, if anyone else can find... I know I found one that did a WASM to WAT somewhere. I just don't remember where that thing was. Because this isn't good enough. This is the WASM... WAT. I want WASM to WAT, not WAT to WASM. No, it's not a one. Convert. I know there's been something that does this, and I've used it before. I just don't remember what it looks like. I can't remember the name of it. It's not one of that. No. Anybody in the chat? Anybody know? Because I cannot remember. Chats, plural. I know one exists. I know I've done it before, and I know I've used it. That's what's bothering the heck out of me. No, no one. Great. This is not fun. This is not fun at all when we're doing this stuff. I don't want a command line thing. I want an online thing, which may sound like, why would you want that? Like, I just don't want to install it, to be honest with you. Like it says, compiling function 2 failed. Call expected I32. It says I const. Oh, bugger. Yeah, that makes sense. No, I didn't read the error message. I was like, no. Yeah, now it's passing 1. Just to prove it, 1, 2, 3, 4. No, but this is WASM to WAT, is it? Oh. Is that true? Let's test that. And I have to, oops, I have to upload it. Can I not just add it in? Upload a biofile and the text will say, I have to upload it. Oh, great. Sorry. Oops. Midgard. Right, so there we go. It's bigger for people. Thank you. I'm just going to put this in my bookmarks now. Done. So this is actually doing correctly. It is. Actually, it's looking nicer. This is kind of nice, actually. Thank you. And it's running. It is, by the way, it's running correctly. So like if I run this again, it says 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's actually passing the parameters correctly. I'm just kind of